You wake up, no dramatic music, no sudden realization, just consciousness slowly loading. Your eyes are still heavy. Your body hasn't moved yet, but your hand already knows where to go, toward your phone. You don't think about it. You don't decide. It happens. A screen lights up. Before you speak to another human, before you stand up, before you make a single conscious decision about your day, you have already been guided. What you see first. What emotion hits first. What tension enters your body. A headline, a message, a number, a comparison. Your nervous system wakes up reactive, not calm, not neutral, reactive. This moment feels small. It isn't. Because the first input of the day sets the direction of the entire system inside you. Thoughts follow emotion, decisions follow mood, actions follow direction, and direction was set before you were even fully awake. We tell ourselves this is nothing. It's just checking. It's just information. I'm just catching up. But ask yourself something honestly. Why is this the first ritual of your day? Why not silence? Why not stillness? Why not your own thoughts? Because mornings are not neutral. Mornings are the most vulnerable psychological window humans have, and whoever reaches you first doesn't need to control you for the rest of the day. They just need to nudge you. We like to believe we are free to choose, free to think, free to decide. But freedom rarely disappears suddenly. It dissolves, quietly, gradually, conveniently. Control no longer looks like chains. It looks like ease. It looks like speed. It looks like personalization. It looks like something made for you. And that's why it works. The most powerful systems in history no longer rule through force. Force creates resistance. They rule through influence. Influence doesn't feel like pressure. It feels like preference. This is not a story about dictators, not about governments, not about secret conspiracies. This is about something far more effective, something woven into daily life, something you trust, something you defend. Hidden control. And once you truly see it, you don't go back to sleep the same way again. For most of human history, power was visible. Kings ruled with armies. Empires ruled with violence. Control was loud. If someone controlled you, you felt it. You knew where power lived. There were borders. There were guards. There were punishments. And because control was visible, people resisted it. Revolutions happened not because people were brave, but because oppression was obvious. Modern power learned from this. Force is inefficient. Fear is unstable. People eventually fight back. So control evolved. It didn't disappear. It changed shape. Instead of commanding behavior, it began shaping environments. Instead of telling people what to do, it decided what would be easy and what would be exhausting. Instead of punishment, it used convenience. Instead of orders, it used design. You are not forced to scroll. You are not forced to stay. You do it willingly. That's the upgrade. The most effective control is the one you don't recognize as control. You don't feel dominated. You feel comfortable. And comfort is the most efficient form of obedience humans have ever created. Look around. Your world is optimized. Food arrives without effort. Entertainment never ends. Answers appear instantly. Nothing feels oppressive. That's the point. Because when nothing feels wrong, nothing gets questioned. And when nothing is questioned, systems run undisturbed. Control without force is not about stopping you. It's about guiding you so gently that resistance never forms. You open an app, you scroll. It feels infinite. Endless content, endless opinions, endless freedom. But freedom is not about how many options you see. Freedom is about who decided those options. Behind every feed is a filter. Behind every recommendation is a ranking system. Behind every "for you" is a silent decision made for reasons you never see. You didn't choose what appeared. You chose from what was allowed to appear. That difference is everything. Two people can live in the same city, wake up on the same morning, experience completely different realities, different news, different dangers, different truths. Not because reality changed, because their feeds did. Reality is no longer shared. It's segmented, personalized, customized. And when truth becomes personalized, agreement becomes impossible. This is not censorship. It's something far more subtle. It's prioritization. And whoever controls priority controls perception. You don't see what matters most. You see what keeps you engaged longest. And slowly, without realizing it, your worldview is shaped by what stays in front of your eyes. Hidden control does not argue with you. It doesn't need to. Because humans don't move through logic. They move through emotion. Fear accelerates attention. Anger sharpens focus. Validation creates dependency. Calm doesn't spread. Outrage does. So outrage is amplified. Not because someone hates you, but because emotion is profitable. The system learns what makes you pause, what makes your heart rate change, what makes you react, and then it feeds you more of it. Again and again and again. Not to inform you, not to help you, but to keep you there. Because attention is the currency, and whoever controls attention controls behavior. You think you are consuming content, but content is consuming your emotional energy, your nervous system, your ability to stay neutral, slowly, daily, silently. And once emotion becomes predictable, control becomes effortless. Because when a system knows what will make you afraid, what will make you angry, what will make you feel validated, it no longer needs to push you. It simply waits and presents the right trigger at the right moment. You begin to feel like your reactions are spontaneous. They're not. They are rehearsed. You think outrage comes from conviction. You think fear comes from awareness. You think desire comes from choice. But most of what you feel is response, not intention. And response is easy to guide. Over time, emotion stops being information. It becomes fuel. Fuel for engagement. Fuel for retention. Fuel for profit. The system doesn't care what you feel, only that you feel something. Because strong emotion keeps you present. Stillness does not. And slowly, without any announcement, your inner world becomes reactive. You wake up reactive. You scroll reactive. You speak reactive. You argue reactive. You are always responding, rarely initiating. That's the leverage. Here is where most people misunderstand control. They imagine control as force, someone telling you what to think, someone ordering you what to do. That's not what's happening. You are not being controlled. You are being trained. Training is quieter than control, more patient, more effective. Training works through repetition, small actions, done daily, without reflection. Check your phone, refresh the feed, respond instantly, fill silence, again and again and again. No one tells you to do this. You do it because it feels normal. But normal is not natural. Normal is learned. Look at how silence feels now. Uncomfortable, heavy, awkward. Stillness used to be human. Now it feels like something is missing. Not because humans changed, because habits were rewired. Notifications replaced intuition. Algorithms replaced curiosity. You no longer ask, "Why am I interested in this?" You assume, "I must be interested." And that assumption is powerful. Because once you stop questioning desire, desire becomes direction. Direction becomes identity. and identity becomes predictable. That is the deepest layer of hidden control. When the system disappears, and you call the behavior you, ask one simple question. Who benefits if you stay distracted? Who benefits if you stay reacting instead of reflecting? If you stay consuming instead of creating? If you stay divided instead of focused? The system doesn't need you to fail. Failure creates disruption. It only needs you comfortable. Comfortable enough not to question. Busy enough not to notice. Tired enough not to resist. Look at how time disappears. Hours scrolling, days reacting, years drifting. Not because you chose to waste time, but because nothing ever asked you to stop. Revolutions don't begin when people are oppressed. They begin when people see clearly. Hidden control works by preventing clarity, by filling every gap, by removing every pause, by replacing reflection with noise. As long as attention is occupied, nothing changes. Power no longer lives only in governments. It lives in platforms, in data, in prediction. Whoever knows what you'll do next doesn't need to command you. They guide outcomes, what you buy, who you trust, what you fear, what you ignore, not through force, through probability. If a system can predict your next move with high accuracy, it can shape results without ever touching you. This is quiet power, clean power, efficient power. No uniforms, no weapons, no speeches, just patterns. And the most dangerous part? It feels normal, because it is embedded in everyday life. Hidden control thrives because it removes friction. Life feels easier, faster, smoother. Why think deeply when answers arrive instantly? Why reflect when content never ends? Awareness requires effort. Convenience does not. So most people choose convenience, not because they are weak, but because the system is designed to be irresistible. And anything you never stop to examine eventually begins to shape you. Silently. This story was never meant to scare you. Fear is loud. Fear fades. This story was meant to do something quieter, to slow you down. Because control does not survive panic. It survives speed. It survives when life moves so fast that you never stop long enough to ask why you're moving at all. Hidden control doesn't break you. It uses you. It borrows your attention. It borrows your emotion. It borrows your time. And then it gives them back to you in pieces. Shorter focus, shorter patience, shorter memory. You don't need to escape the system. That fantasy is comforting, but unrealistic. The system is not out there. It's here, in your habits, in your reflexes, in what feels normal. The moment you see that, control begins to weaken. Because systems depend on automation. They depend on you reacting before thinking. They depend on you filling silence before listening. They depend on you mistaking habit for choice. But awareness interrupts automation. A pause breaks the loop. A question creates friction, and friction restores agency. You don't need to delete everything. You don't need to reject technology. You don't need to disappear. You only need to notice. Notice when you're being pulled. Notice when emotion arrives before reason. Notice when scrolling replaces stillness. Because the moment you notice, you are no longer fully predictable. And unpredictability is dangerous to systems built on patterns. Hidden control relies on one thing above all else: invisibility. It works best when you don't know it's there. When you call influence preference. When you call training personality. When you call reaction identity. But once seen clearly, it can never return to being invisible. You may still participate. You may still scroll. You may still engage. But something fundamental changes. You are no longer asleep inside it. And that is enough. Because the most powerful act in a world built on constant reaction is a conscious pause. The most radical decision is to choose deliberately in a system designed to choose for you. So the question was never, who controls the world? That question keeps power abstract, distant, untouchable. The real question is simpler, more uncomfortable, more honest. When the screen goes dark, when the noise fades, when there is nothing left to react to, who are you choosing to be, on purpose? And for the first time today, before the next notification, before the next scroll, before the system reaches you again, you get to decide what happens next. Fade to silence. AI-powered studio.